Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to meet you. Uh, as you can see, my name is Rumi Aijaz, and I work at the Observer Research Foundation in New Delhi. And I will be speaking on the topic creating smart cities for a better future. It's not very interesting to hear a talk after the performance of a very good band, but please bear with me for a few minutes. Thank you. Uh, I thought of this topic. Actually, I'm coming to your university for the first time, and I thought it would be a good idea to give exposure to students and to the faculty members at Shivnadar University about the various initiatives that Government of India is running, and this is one of them. It's called, the government has named it as the Smart Cities Mission, and through this talk, I'm going to discuss some ideas with you and inform you about how our living conditions in our cities can be improved and how can we ensure a better future for ourselves. And so the first question that I would like to pose is, what do people need during the course of their life? And if you think of the human life cycle, some answers come to mind. We are all at different ages, and we all have our own set of requirements or priorities. For example, newborns, they need proper nutrition and a clean environment. Adolescents need good health care, education, and recreation facilities. Adults aspire for a good life, and they want jobs, income, they want homes and better transportation facilities. And the elderly need good care and protection. Unfortunately, in India, many of these things are not available everywhere. In rural areas or villages and small towns, for example, many essential things are not available. We all know this. So there is a tendency to relocate to developed areas such as cities where work opportunities and better facilities are available. And this phenomenon, which is called rural to urban migration, is quite common in India, and you will be surprised to know that every minute about 25 to 30 people are migrating from small towns and villages to cities. This movement of population or this relocation has led to a clustering of population and economic activities in cities. So, and the data that are available on population compiled by the Census of India, they show that India's urban population has been consistently increasing over the years. In 1901, it was 26 million. By 1951, it became 62 million. And according to the last census recorded during 2011, India's urban population was 377 million. And this is expected to grow to about double from what it is to over 800 million. And various analysts and projections show that more people will live in urban areas of India than in rural areas. But when we compare the urban population of India with other urbanized nations in the world, we find that India is less urbanized. And this means that the percentage of population living in urban areas of India is comparatively less than many other nations of the world. And as you can see from this slide, India has recorded 31% which means that 31% of the total population can be found living in urban areas. Although it's in absolute numbers, India's urban population is second to China, but when you look at these percentages, India's urbanization is still low. But India is gradually urbanizing. And you can see the comparison from this slide that China and Indonesia are about 50% urban, and countries such as Russia, Japan, Brazil, and USA are over 70% urbanized. And this brings us to the second question, what are living conditions in Indian cities like? Because when large populations or a concentration of population economic activity occurs in urban areas, then there are several positive and negative consequences. We call them consequences of urbanization. This may be understood through some quality of life indicators, such as these which are shown in this slide. We are all aware of these, the conditions that prevail in India's urban areas, and particularly in cities. And this is, you will find such characteristics in most of the cities of the country. Although I have taken some examples from different cities of India, large populations can be found living in the slums or informal areas, unauthorized colonies. People face problems of traffic congestion, air pollution, water pollution. And we also know about, from the news reports about the loss of heritage in several Indian cities, about flooding, which was quite prominent during the monsoon season, water crisis of various kinds, and waste dumps or inappropriate disposal of solid waste by the citizens and by the urban local governments. So the interesting question here is, how can we improve living conditions in cities? And here I would like to introduce you to the concept of smart cities. If you imagine a city which is open and has green spaces, it has a clean and safe environment, it is livable, it is inclusive, sustainable, and people-friendly. That is exactly what the leading people or organizations in this field are trying to move towards, creating urban spaces which offer such characteristics. And it would mean either creating a new city on vacant land, which is a very expensive proposition, but most of the effort is towards transforming existing cities into better or smart cities. And such ideas have been utilized all over the world, not only in India, but Indian government has utilized such thinking in the development of the Smart Cities mission. The mission was launched in the year 2015. Under this mission, about 100 cities in the country were selected. Some criteria were set for selection of these cities. These have been listed on this slide. They relied on the population size, the characteristics the cities display, such as whether it's a historical city or it's a tourist center or it's a business center or it's a capital of a state. And then they considered parameters such as the level of services offered, the capabilities of the municipalities that function in such cities, their ability to generate funds for implementing projects, and the nature of smart city plan or proposal prepared by them. They arrived at these criteria because they wanted to ensure that once a city is selected under the mission, they would be able to successfully handle the responsibilities that are being assigned to them for the purpose of transforming their city into a smart city. The 100 cities lie in a population range of 11,000 to 12.4 million. And together, these 100 cities account for about 130 million people in India. And this would mean that about 35% of India's population would benefit with the complete implementation of the Smart Cities mission. And this slide shows the number of cities selected from different Indian states and union territories. From every Indian state and union territory, at least one city or an urban area has been selected. And you can see that from Tamil Nadu, as many as 11 cities have been selected, 10 from Uttar Pradesh, 8 from Maharashtra, 7 each from Karnataka and Madhya Pradesh, and 6 from Gujarat, and so on. So the most obvious question is, how are existing cities being transformed into smart cities? And for this purpose, the government has proposed 2 strategies. One is area-based development. This basically means that, as you know, cities are very large. They are spread over a large area. And a very small portion of that area has been selected for transformation into a smart city, because they wanted to run it in the form of a pilot scheme before expanding the scheme to other areas within the city. So within this selected area, smart projects are being implemented. The second strategy is pan-city development, because there are several facilities and infrastructure that are required over a larger area, not within a small area, but over a larger area, such as a smart mobility corridor. I'll just come to these things in a minute. This example from Delhi clarifies this point further. As you can see on your left-hand side is the map of Delhi, and Delhi is governed by 3-4 municipal governments. This one, this is in purple color, is the New Delhi Municipal Council area. So within this area, about 2.2 square kilometers of an area has been selected for transformation. This is called the New Delhi City Center. As many of you are familiar with Delhi, it includes Connaught Place and some adjoining areas of Connaught Place. So 2.2 square kilometers of area has been selected from Delhi. So when the government says that Delhi is going to be a smart city, it's actually this 2.2 square kilometers of area which is going to be transformed from a normal kind of a city to a smart city. And regarding planning for a smart city, these smart city plans have been prepared by the local governments. In Delhi's case, New Delhi Municipal Council. In Varanasi's case, Varanasi Municipal Corporation, and so on. And these plans have been prepared with the help or support of the state governments, consulting firms, and citizens. Because I don't know whether you've heard about it, but there is often a talk about partnerships, because the government cannot do everything on their own. And therefore, and in the past, they have been criticized for handling everything on their own. So they have opened up. They've included other actors from the society and the private sector, so that the goal that everybody is trying to achieve can be done in the best possible manner, because each one of us bring certain ideas to the table for developing the best plan. So citizens of different types were contacted to know their needs, such as resident welfare associations, the hotel and traders associations, councillors, women, slum dwellers, students, and even diplomats, because each one of us have our own set of requirements. So while preparing the plan, you need to ensure that it represents the the opinions and views of different sections of the society. That's the idea. And the method followed was face-to-face and online consultations. Street plays were organized by the plan preparers. Presentations were held, and inputs were also generated through mobile polling. And the responses that were received by the government departments and agencies were that people wanted better mobility, they wanted proper electricity supply, water and sanitation services, public spaces and facilities, health, and obviously good governance. Good governance basically means that the department that's responsible for doing a certain activity for the citizens performs in the best possible manner so that the expectations of the citizens are met. So that's a very simple definition of good governance. And what is the status of the Smart Cities mission in India? Now, this is where people like me who are engaged in research work, academic work, we find scope in contributing to such initiatives based on our education and experience. We conducted a study at the place of my work, which is the Observer Research Foundation in New Delhi, where I am responsible for the conduct of the Urban Policy Research Initiative. We conducted this study, and its objectives were to assess the 6-year progress of the Smart Cities mission at the national, state, and local level, to know the factors that are stalling the progress of the mission, and to come up with some suggestions which can help in overcoming the challenges. And we relied on primary and secondary sources of information. I'm moving a little faster, not explaining things in detail because of the time, but if at the end, if there is some time, if anybody wishes to know more about a certain thing that I've presented, please let me know. This is one example of the project which was implemented in Delhi. It aims to build the cultural identity because it's not only about infrastructure and services. Smart cities involves almost every dimension. So this is the Charkha Museum and Training Center in Connaught Place. You may fail to notice it in CP. But since I was reading about it, I went there and found out it does exist, and I visited the museum inside. And it's basically been established to inform visitors about our past and also to empower the weaver community associated with the khadi industry. The second example of a project is building skills which would allow the marginalized sections of the communities to get jobs for themselves or to start ventures. So these are examples of skill centers developed in Agra and a digital handicraft incubation center established in Tirupati. Then there are projects on mobility. You can see a cycle path and footpath in Warangal, a smart bike stand in Delhi, e-mobility initiative in Thiruvananthapuram, and smart parking facilities in Delhi. And there are examples from the health sector. During the COVID pandemic, COVID control room was set up in Jammu and also intensive care unit in Kalyan, Dombivli. And public amenity centers have been established in different parts of New Delhi city center area to improve citizens' access to basic amenities. And then there are miscellaneous projects. My time's up, so I'm rushing a little faster now. Eco-restoration of lakes in Coimbatore, plastic to diesel plant in Prayagraj, solar rooftop panels in Salem, and integrated command and control centers in as many as 70 cities have been established so far. And overall progress at the All India level is that over 6,000 projects have been identified and these are in various stages of implementation. So far, at the end of the 6-year period, about 50% of the work has been completed. At the state and union territory level, some states and cities are doing better than others. You can see Delhi, Nagaland, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Karnataka, etc. are above 50% completion in projects. And then there are several northeastern states or smaller states and union territories, and even Jharkhand and Mizoram and Himachal, which are not doing so well. Our study showed that although with the occurrence of the COVID pandemic, the pace or the progress of the Smart Cities mission was adversely affected, but there are other reasons for underperformance. The first one is duration of the Smart Cities mission. The government had set the timeline of 5 years, then they extended by 1 year. So it should be for a longer duration, because we know that Indian cities and city governments are nowhere comparable with many advanced nations. So more time should be given. Type of projects, we recommend that there are several projects which can also find a place within the Smart Cities mission, such as better drainage projects. We saw the conditions that occurred during the monsoon season. There was a lot of flooding everywhere. Availability of funds is also an issue, and we recommend that the municipalities and the special purpose vehicles, which are the implementing agencies for this mission, they should be empowered and strengthened, and they should also tap alternate sources of funds. And insofar as technology is concerned, we suggest that role of integrated command and control centers should be expanded. These centers can play a larger role, as we observed from cities outside India, such as Moscow, which are playing a key role in traffic management and ensuring security within cities. And cyber security is a major concern. Smart cities rely a lot on sensors and network devices that generate a lot of data, and these data need to be protected from hacking, from cyber criminals. So we suggest encryption, which means converting into code to prevent unauthorized use. And finally, we have published this study, and it has been disseminated. It has been picked up by newspapers. I'm sure it must have come to the attention of the government, because that's what the idea is. So to conclude that, I would like to say that for you, this topic or this mission could be of interest in several things that directly concern us, such as when we go about constructing a house, we ask a question: what can be the best way in constructing an environmental friendly home? Or when we want to manage solid waste, what is the best way of disposing waste? Because the ultimate goal is to ensure a good environment, ensure sustainable development, and we can all achieve this goal by becoming agents of change. Thank you very much for your patience.